And then I got a hold of the Project BEST, Better Education Skills Through Technology, which is the computer curriculum, which is total Skinner, because Skinner said the computer was his box. And B.F. Skinner is the one who said I could make a pigeon, your child, a high achiever, by reinforcing it on a proper schedule. And the Secretary of Education right now, under Obama, has said that he believes in, well, they believe in merit pay. That's the same thing for the teachers. And for the students, he believes in paying them for good grades. Well, Skinner would love this. This is absolutely down his alley. Our whole country has been subjected and is being right now to Pavlov. In my own little town of Bath, Maine, 4 years ago, the police in the community-oriented policing system started passing out medals to citizens who they judged were doing good deeds.
Well, now, to interrupt, the New York Times has written a bunch of articles where the public school kids are given fake tickets to write their mother or father for taking a hot bath or for leaving the water running while they brush their teeth. They're openly turning our kids into spies.
Yep.
And the Drudge Report just went live with this. They're now having the TSA invade Walmart. We know Walmart's part of this big continuity of government takeover program to train the Walmart employees to be spies now. I mean, stay there, Charlotte. Let's continue with what's going on in the public schools and how to stop them. Straight ahead. We'll be right back. The book was a #1 and has been #1 bestseller on the Barnes & Noble's list. #1 bestseller in the education department. This is cold-blooded what's happening, and we've got the last 800 of these books now going out of print, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, available at Infowars.com. I'm very excited to see people pouring in to get them. Many places they are sold for more than $100 online. We're selling them for $39.95. Again, it's the size of a phone book. These are so important to have as a historical record and to fight this enemy operation, because Charlotte Iserby was the head of Policy Department of Education, and she was able to put their blueprint together in one place. Again, it's available at Infowars.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. You can also write to us at P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas, 78760. And look, their whole Copenhagen global tax has fallen apart. Their TSA takeover, which they now admit is a federal takeover of the streets of America and of all commerce, not just airlines. That's in trouble. When we stand up and say no, we can have an effect. Okay? So this is a great tool in that fight. Charlotte Iserby, please continue breaking down the new developments and the final nail in the coffin with the takeover of education and what their end game is. Okay,
well, the goal is to implement the international planned economy, and most of you know about that, using total quality management and all this and that. That's why the corporations are so deeply involved in our schools right now. And as I said, this started out when I was in my office, in the Office of Educational Research and Improvement. I saw that when Ronald Reagan set up an office in the White House for, it was called nice name, the Council for Private Sector Initiatives. And my boss made a mistake sending me over to the White House as a liaison. So I went over and I just innocently said, you know, I'm not highly educated, but when you merge the public and private sector, which is what it was all about, isn't that corporate fascism? And this lovely lady said, well, gee, I don't know whether anybody really thought of it that way. Well, they did. And that was exactly the beginning of this merger of the public and private sector, which the nicest thing you can call it is corporate fascism. But basically, it's socialism and it's communism, and it is a planned economy, and that is not the American way. Now, you can say, oh, well, that can't happen in our schools. Oh, yes, it can. It's happening through, they had to destroy the schools first to make them so horrible that parents and all would accept anything. And so they talk about school choice. It sounds so nice. That means parents are really happy. They're going to be able to put their child into a school that teaches the 3 R's and sound values. No, folks. The school choice is lethal. They're going to bring our country down and change our whole form of government and economic system through school choice and charter schools. Now, I know there are people out there who are really shocked because they're going to be saying, oh, well, my conservative, great conservative organization that I give money to, and the Heritage Foundation, all these American Conservative Union, and all these conservative groups support school choice. Well, folks, look, join the crowd with me. Can you imagine how dismayed I am? That's hardly the word. I thought I was a conservative. Now I don't know who hates me the most. I think the conservatives hate me more than the left, because at least the left tells the truth about what they're doing. We've counted on the conservatives to save us, to save our children, to save our schools, to save our country. No, don't count on them at all. You might do better counting on good teachers that are still left in the system and supporting them in stopping performance-based teacher education and stopping charter schools and insisting at the state level that you get into the education legislation and bring your schools back to the traditional K through 12, no workforce training like recommended by Woodrow Wilson.
No political correct brainwashing where they spend all day teaching everybody,
absolutely,
you know, how to...
No, teachers would be hired according to a lot about their background. You would interview them to find out, you know, they're happily married, they have children, what are their values, etc. Do you want them in charge of your children? We would return our schools to what they used to be. And I can assure you there are many American teachers out there right now, as bad as you may think they all are, and some are, especially the young have been so brainwashed. There seems to be only one way to go, and that is to try to work with the teachers in the public school system, believe it or not, and with the teachers union that is fighting the performance-based teacher education. Because if you don't do this, we've had it. You know, I never thought I would get to the point where I would have to recommend that this is the only place to go, because I cannot find a single conservative organization in the country that is willing to admit that they are imposing a planned economy on us through school choice and charter.
But that's what Webster Tarpley wrote in his 3 books on Obama, that Obama's job was posing as a liberal and busting up Chicago schools, not to fix them, but to hand them over to Bill and Melinda Gates, who literally teach the kids that one-child policy is good, that humans are bad. They admit, even 2020, as you know, back in the early 90s reported, that when they brought death education in that you warned about, it teaches the kids how to commit suicide, and then suicide explodes. They bring in more death education, more drugs, suicide explodes, more Prozac, which causes suicide explodes. I mean, they are so diabolical, but the average grassroots person implementing this is compartmentalized and just goes ahead with the program believing the label.
Well, that's right, but I mean, we're really far past that now. We've moved out of the values-destroying stuff. They've done their job, which is the unfreezing, right? And then they come in with the freezing, and the freezing is the workforce training, which will require no brain activity, because if you study Skinner, if you understand animal training,
briefly, hold on. Briefly explain to people Skinner. We got time here. Well, explain Skinner, and then explain freezing, unfreezing.
Well, B.F. Skinner, first of all, I the quote first about I could make a pigeon a high achiever by reinforcing it on a proper schedule. Well, okay, just think about your dog. Okay, everybody has dogs or something, right? Well, you can it's very easy to train your dog with, Fido said if you give the dog a dog biscuit, the next time you say Fido said, he's going to look for the dog biscuit, right? And he's going to stand. So this is what they're doing with your children in the classroom now. This is workforce training. There is no thinking going on in Fido's head. It's just neurological, if you understand. You go to the doctor, he used to do this, has a rubber hammer, he hits your knee, and your knee pops up. That's reaction. That's not thinking. Now, this is what is necessary for workforce training, and it has been admitted to by all of the key behaviorists.
Well, wait, they admit that's what they've done with police is reflexive. They're brainwashed drones. The TV lowers people's brainwaves. We have a drone zombie population.
Well, yes, and I would say saying, you know, it's not too funny, but I've been talking for so long, Alex, that I've just, when I read the news and everything, I'm quite numb now to everything. I'm really numb. So I think a lot of your listeners can relate to that. They feel numb too, and they're great.
And by the way, to be clear, you have graphics put up by the Department of Education where they say they want brainwashed zombies. I mean, the whole book is just nightmare control freaks saying we're ending the family. People won't be able to talk when we're done with them. It's basically 1984 already. The language is being made a lot smaller, just like Orwell talked about, where you can't communicate with many people now because they literally can't even understand you.
No, you can't. And let me point out before I want to get this in, because people may, you know, they're saying, oh, well, wow, I wish I had a pen or write this down, or how am I going to check that or whatever. They have to go to the websites. There are two websites. One is deliberatedumbingdown.com, and that has all my articles on it, and there's the exchange of correspondence between myself and President Reagan, where I informed him after I had been dismissed from my job for leaking a document to Human Events on workforce training, basically, better education skills through technology, actually. I wrote him, after I was dismissed, to tell him that the department was a Marxist factory. And that letter is there. I never got a response. Of course I didn't. He didn't want anybody, even a response saying thanks for your letter, and nothing more than that. He didn't want me to be able to say that he had received it, huh? He received my letter. He knew very well what was going on. 3 years later, he signed the agreements with Gorbachev to merge the education systems. At the same time, Carnegie signed with the Soviet Academy of Science to merge the two systems.
And that's UNESCO, all on record.
And so that happened, and then that's on the website. This is what I'm trying to point out right now. That website is very important. That's a PDF, that letter. Now, there's another PDF there. It's called Experimentation on Minorities, and I've got all the goods on them. They used the minorities with the Skinner method from the beginning, from 1965 with the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. They targeted the minorities to see if this workforce training thing would work. They used it on them. That's why the minorities test scores went down. Chicago was one of their first schools in 1968. They put it, I think, in 1982. The test scores were so horrible in Chicago after using the Skinner method, Bloom's Skinner method, that Education Week, which is their big education journal, said it was called they called Chicago a human tragedy.
Well, they even took away phonics, where you've got to look at a word and then remember it. They know that doesn't work. They got rid of what worked by design. I mean, I've got stuff from 1898 by the U.S. Banking Association saying we've got to take over education and dumb them down. Too many people are reading. I mean, you try to read a newspaper from 200 years ago, yeah. I can't even read it. No, I mean, they have literally turned us.
Great, Alex, I was going to talk to people later. My website, I told them that, deliberatedumbingdown.com. But at AmericanDeception.com, you were just talking about something interesting, made me think of it. There is an incredible test, and I'm trying to think of the name. I wish I could remember that test. Kenneth Higley. Oh, gosh.
It'll pop in your head in a minute. The point is.
But it's a test in 1953 in Central California. And it is unbelievable. It's up on the website, and it's Hignite is the name. Now, folks, if you write anything down today, write this down, because I consider this is the proof that you can take out and show people. The name is Kenny Hignite, Hignite. You type that into the search engine at AmericanDeception.com. You're going to see an 8 or 10-page test on the Constitution. Kenny Hignite got 99 on it, I think. Excellent, A+ or something. That test, it's all in his own handwriting. Someone gave me this test when I was speaking somewhere, and it's all in his own handwriting. He felt his handwriting's not that good, but boy, is he smart.